Hi everybody, I'm Sarah Todes. I'm the founder of Puppetsburg, and welcome to our Found Objects puppet making video. We are very excited for everybody here watching to go around their home. I'm here at home. I'm going to be gathering objects with you as well, and we're going to take objects that we might have otherwise seen as trash and transform them into puppets. So you don't have to buy anything, you just have to look very creatively and maybe think differently about some of the stuff that you've got lying around. Because the magic of puppets and the magic of creating anything is about transformation. So let's get ready. And I'm not going to be doing this alone. I have the help of someone some of you know very well.
Hi, I can't wait to make a puppet. Do you want to make one with us too?
You can find materials with puppet making potential in every room in your house. So here I am in the kitchen and I found some empty boxes that I like the color of and some bubble wrap that I like the texture of. Maybe it can be hair or something, I don't know, we'll see. In the bedroom, I found some old socks, which are super perfect for puppet making. So if you have them, grab them. We will definitely use them later. What can you find in the bathroom? I found toilet paper and this little plastic bottle.
I found so much cool stuff with puppet potential in my house. Want to see? Ooh. What did you find?
Okay, now that you have all of your found objects from all over the house, we are ready to create our workspace. Now, my workspace might look kind of messy, but the truth is that I feel more creative when I know it's okay for me to make a big mess. Some people like working in a clean workspace. Some people like being able to get sloppy. If you're like me and you like to make a mess, just make sure that your caretaker is cool with wherever you're working. You can spread out newspapers, or I've chosen to work on some cardboard boxes that I know no one cares about, so if they get glue all over them, no big deal. So take the found objects that you gathered from all around, and then if you have any craft objects in your home, materials like anything colorful, maybe some gems or googly eyes, those are always fun. But if you don't have any craft supplies, doesn't matter. I'm gonna show you how to make a puppet without any. The two things you do need are scissors, and make sure you have an adult to help you cut things out because scissors are pretty sharp. And then something to hold it all together. So glue or tape, and then we are ready to get started.
I have never felt more ready in my life.
Okay, so we're ready to begin. And whenever I start making a new puppet out of found objects, I start by finding the base of the puppet. So one iconic puppet base is, of course, the sock puppet. And a sock puppet is super easy because your hand becomes the mouth.
Hello, I'm Mr. Sock Puppet.
And you know, that's the difference between a doll, which it's really fun to make dolls out of found objects as well. But the difference between a doll and a puppet is a puppet has a mouth that moves like this. So when you're looking for your base, that's the thing to look for, is which of these found objects have something that can be a moving mouth, so that I'm really making a puppet instead of a doll. So the sock puppet, as I said, is always great, and we'll be making one of those today. So if you have a sock as your base, that's perfect. But another fun thing to do is to look at your objects and let them speak to you. See what they can suggest to you about what they can become. Like regular empty old box of tea would have thrown it in the trash, but this kind of looks like a mouth, doesn't it?
I'm a box of tea. Nice to meet you.
Or maybe the other way. Sometimes you have to mess with it a little bit. I'm a box of tea. You know, these could be teeth. So really just play around with your potential bases and see which ones are most exciting to you. And when you're looking at your base, the other thing you can think about is, of course, eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. So not every puppet needs all of those. Not all of your puppets will end up having noses or mouths. Who knows? You can get creative. But sometimes when I'm looking at a found object, I start to kind of envision like, oh, you know, in fact, this T looks like an open eye, and this label looks kind of like a closed eye. So maybe my puppet is going to be kind of half asleep. So that's the joy of found object puppets, is that the base can almost create a whole character if you look at them and let them speak to you. So I would suggest taking any bases that you're considering and just looking at them for a while, playing with them, seeing what comes up.
I went with a simple, elegant base for my puppet. Cute, right?
Okay, so now we're thinking about features. And I'm gonna start with the eyes because the eyes are so expressive. So I feel like once I get the puppet eyes, I can build the rest of it from there. So with this one, I really like the idea of having one open eye and one closed eye. So I have a couple ideas of how I could do that. I could use these googly eyes, which I happen to have lying around. Or I could draw directly onto the puppet. Or if I want a little more dimension, I could cut something out, maybe craft foam, or if we're only using found objects, this black scrap of cardboard, and make kind of an outline of the eyes with that. What would you do for your eye for this puppet? Think about it.
And for the eyes, I went with googly eyes all the way.
For the sock puppet eyes, I have a couple of thoughts. I could maybe use these old pieces of styrofoam that come in packing materials as eyes. Or I have this puff paint, and puff paint is great for drawing on fabric, so you can draw the outline of the eyes there. So I have a lot of options. So look around at your objects and your puppet bases and think about what you can do for the eyes. Okay, do you want to see what I did for the eyes? So for the sock puppet, I ended up doing both the styrofoam and the googly eyes. Hello! And I want to point out something that's really important to keep in mind when you're making anything, which is that sometimes mistakes or things that look sloppy can actually lead you to really exciting ideas. So if you look up close, there's some glue that kind of spilled on the side of the eye here, and maybe looks a little sloppy to me, but maybe that will inspire me to make this puppet glasses to cover them up. Or maybe I'll decide that the glue kind of looks like tears and I'm gonna make this a really sad puppet. So if something doesn't come out looking exactly how you imagined it, think about what opportunity could be in that mistake.
Hello. How are ya?
Another tip, whenever you're gluing something on fabric, like this sock puppet, what I like to do is I cut out a piece of cardboard that can fit inside the fabric so that when I'm putting glue on the puppet, the glue doesn't soak through and stick the fabric together. Or if you have a grown-up helping you and they're using hot glue, this can protect their hands so that they're only gluing on the front side of the fabric. So these are my eyes for my sock puppets so far. And for my tea box puppet, you can see that I used some craft foam and some puff paint. So she's winking. She came out very glamorous so far. And I'm excited to see what you did with the eyes for your puppets too.
Came out pretty good.
right, so after you have the base and the eyes for your puppet, you can start adding the other stuff we talked about: nose, ears, accessories, lips, whatever inspires you. So, do you want to see how my puppets are coming along? First, we have our sock puppet here. I did go ahead and add some glasses from this really fun shiny material that some food that I ordered came in that normally I would have thrown away, and it became such a fun metallic accessory here. I always recommend adding shine and metallics and glitter wherever you can. I also added some pasta to the base that I made for his hair to give kind of a spunky look. I like how it moves when he talks. A button nose, and I thought that this puppet has so much more personality when you can kind of see his tongue as he's talking. And color. Color is always really important to think about because it just makes everything more vibrant, more fun to look at. But I think something is still missing. Is there anything you would add to this sock puppet? All right, and then let's see. Here we have our tea box puppet. With her, I just added lips out of that same shiny metallic material. She's got such glamorous full eyes and lips. I didn't think she needed a nose or ears or anything, but I can think of something that would really be fun to add. So once you think you might be done with your puppets, take one last look at them. And again, let them kind of tell you, what do they need to really make them come alive? You can also look at what materials you have left, if there's something fun you want to play with. And now let's do the final touches to make these puppets as awesome as they can be.
Okay, I added so much to my puppet. Want to see how she came out? Isn't she gorgeous? She has a really elegant velvet skirt, locally sourced gemstone belt, a really nice lace shirt that I made out of toilet paper, a beehive hairdo, and a crown made out of a shampoo sample. What is she missing, though? Remember what Sarah said about the difference between a doll and a puppet? Can you guess what my final touch is gonna be?
All right, are you ready to see the puppets with their final touches? First, we have Sock Puppet, who you can see I gave a necklace. I used a screw to make it look like jewelry. I think this ties together his whole look, and I'm really happy with how he turned out. Then we have, of course, our tea box puppet, and she has hair now. I actually made a lot of changes to her. I thought she was done, but then the more I looked at her, the more I realized, first of all, I added a dowel. A dowel is a stick that helps you make the puppets move, because I didn't like how you could always see my hands when I was moving her mouth. But these are actually just chopsticks. So you can find dowels anywhere. You can also use straws. Straws can be very wasteful, so if you're trying to find a way to reuse them, you can use them as dowels. And I'm actually using one to hold her up and one to move her mouth so that she can talk like this. And you might notice that I actually painted the inside of her mouth because I was finding it distracting that every time she opened her mouth, it was this like white cardboard with writing on it. I also painted over some of the text on her face so that her features pop out a bit more. And now she's a wild, glamorous puppet woman. So what did you do for the final touches?
So I realized her mouth doesn't move, and that's kind of what makes a puppet. So I created a new invention, a free-floating jaw that I put on a straw. Watch, it's really cool. Hello, my name is Puppet. See, it looks like she's talking. Thanks for making me, Clementine. Whoa, she just said that all on her own. Amazing.
Well, hello. I'm Rocky the Owl. My little sister Eleanor and I have been watching this video, and we've made a found object puppet too. It's an even littler owl. Hoo hoo!
All right, you made your puppet. Congratulations. And now we're going to talk about bringing the puppet to life by finding your puppet's voice. Now, sometimes you look at a puppet and you just start talking in a certain voice. That's what happened to me when I first made this guy. But it doesn't always work that way. So it's helpful sometimes to break it down into different elements about how your puppet talks. So the first element you can think about is speed. Some people talk really slowly and some talk really fast. And if you just play with slow talking and fast talking, sometimes traits and character will start to emerge because people who talk really slowly, maybe they're nervous or shy, or maybe they're thinking about something really important. And people who talk fast could mean they're nervous or excited about something. So even just thinking about speed can bring so much character to your puppet. And then there's, of course, pitch. Have you ever noticed that some people talk in a really high voice? And some people talk in a really low voice. And whether people are high or low can also say something about them as people. Maybe if you talk in a low voice, it's because your character is grounded and connected to the earth. Or if you're high, maybe it's because you're more of an airy type person, always in your head. And then, of course, you can combine speed and pitch. So maybe you talk really low and fast, which might be unusual, but when you think about it, if you combine low and fast, a whole character can emerge from it. Or high and slow. So keep playing with that. And then there are consonants, which are the really crispy parts of words. So maybe your puppet hits certain consonants. Or maybe your puppet slurs all their consonants together. So you can play with that. And you can combine it with a low voice. Or a high voice. And then there's vowels, right? Vowels, A-E-I-O-U, and sometimes Y. So you can think about your puppet's use of consonants and vowels. And when you think about these things, a character starts to emerge. And character is the whole reason we're making puppets, right? And character is made up of all of these elements that go into the voice, but it's also made up of a little something extra, which is your puppet's history, right? Where do they come from? Character is made up of what they want. And this is huge anytime you're telling a story, is thinking about what your character's biggest hopes and dreams are. So right now, I want you to look into your puppet's eyes and ask them, what do you want? I really want Rice Krispie treats. Wow. Rice Krispie treats are really good. So you can learn a lot by just gazing into your puppet's eyes and asking them questions. So why don't you try that now and try playing with the different elements that we talked about as well, and see if you can find your puppet's unique voice that's different from your own, and see what their voice tells you about their character.
Clementine brought me to life.
Clementine brought me to life.
Clementine brought me to life.
Clementine brought me to life. brought me to life.
Clementine brought me to life.
Clementine brought me to life.
And for that, I will always be grateful.
Two super important things about performing with your puppet or engaging with someone with your puppet. First of all, always keep them alive and alert. So if you have two puppets and they're talking to each other and maybe you're focusing on this one, don't let this one go limp because it looks really weird. It ruins the magic. Always keep them alert and live, little movements, and think about how they listen. Because in any story, the way people listen to each other can tell you almost as much or more than what they're actually saying. So if you have two puppets talking to each other, what is their listening like, right? Second thing is, open on the vowel. Open the puppet's mouth every vowel of a sentence. You don't want to open once every word, and you don't want to just keep the mouth arbitrarily moving. It's really about opening on the vowel. And this is a sock puppet, so the bottom part of my hand stays still. But if you have a more traditional puppet where your fingers are both in the top and the bottom, you want to move the bottom, the jaw, to make it look like the puppet is talking. Don't open both like this, because that would be like if a person talked like that, and it's not as natural. So keep the puppet always alive and listening, and open on the vowel. I'm really excited to hear what you have all been discovering about your puppet characters. I wanted to throw in a couple other ways that you can get to know your puppet, get to know their voice, or create an exciting character. One of them is think about someone you know. So, for example, I think about my grandmother, who was from Arkansas, and she would kind of talk like this. Let's talk about the roses, right? So she had an accent and a certain breathy quality. So if you think about people you know, you can talk like them. I'm thinking of someone else now who talks kind of like this. He kind of sticks out his lips when he talks and kind of talks like that. So can you try thinking about someone you know, think about a quality in their voice, and then try it out with your puppet. Another thing you can do is you can think about one really specific thing that defines your character. So maybe your character reminds you of an animal. So maybe I have a puppet who I'm using the way he talks, kind of the tempo of like how a monkey is, like so my character talks a little like that. There are so many different ways, and we would love to see what characters you're creating with your puppets. So if you want to take pictures of videos of you talking like your puppet, we would love to see them. And we are on Instagram at Puppetsburg. So thank you, Rockefeller Center, for having us. Thank you for all of you, and we'll talk to you soon.